Hi everyone, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today you're just following along with me and some of the things that I've got to get done. Now, I am not even going to start with where the list begins and where it ends, because as a mom, being at home, being a farm wife, you got to take detours in your day to be able to get things done. So let's head on into our first job. I've got this lamp that I took apart months and months ago. It was all brass, just cheap brass, and the different surfaces weren't the same color. So I had to do something with it. So I decided to make it shabby chic. Take a lot of this pretty stuff and you paint it white. And I'm going to clear coat it. So I'm just going over it real quick. And this is one of those spotty things that can get done during the day. That isn't going to be an all day long job. And I can move on to the next thing. So this is something that I'm thinking of adding to my daughter's bedroom, or maybe it'll end up in the Etsy shop. I don't know. I just saw it and decided to bring it home because it was pretty. Little did I know what all I was going to do with it. And it's been bumping around here for a while. So I actually started spray painting this in my house. And of course, if you're spray painting in the house, you don't want to have overspray getting on things like your tractor or your car in the garage. So this is going to dry and we're going to head on into the house for our next job. So as a farm wife, a mom, a homeschool teacher, a landlord, a property manager, a repairman, some people have asked me, how do you get done in the day the things that you need done? Now, if I could get this bottle open today, that would be super. Having to get pliers out. Fortunately, already out from another job, so I can break the seal on this thing. So how I get things done in the day is, I know some people don't want to be on all the time. They don't want to be thinking about what is yet to be done, what's not done. But if you don't make a plan for the day to any degree, sometimes nothing gets done. Pommy and olive oil, the most impossible oil to open. Brought to you by Mommy Milestones. So today I have bucket milker parts that I'm rebuilding, a birthday tomorrow for another child, last one for a month, then you get a 4-week break. And as you can see behind me, I got clean dishes, I got lunch dishes, I got more clean dishes to put away. So this cake can be baking while I'm working on the dishes situation. How do I not have anxiety? How do I not have stress? Well, I think everybody has anxiety or stress to some degree, but how you want to handle it depends on what feedback you're getting from the people around you. So as a farmer, as a grower, I just want to say, we're a drug-free home. We don't treat our anxiety with medical anythings, smoking, liquid, or otherwise. You go for a walk, you clear your head, you take a deep breath. Sometimes it's a hug or a kiss or a shower. It's doing something different than the thing causing you anxiety. Now, there's no way in every day that I don't have stress or anxiety to some degree. Some are more stressful than others. When you've got a cow having a baby, that's stressful. When that mom is having a hard time a month after the baby's born, that is so stressful. When a cow goes down and you don't know what to do to help her, and you're doing everything you can to get a vet or an assistant or somebody over to advise you, to answer their phone, it's like your whole world is crashing down around you. So if you've followed my channel for very long, you know that I have 5 children at home and 1 grown. So you have to learn to juggle and do what needs done. That being said, my oldest is turning 29 years old tomorrow, and I am making her a birthday cake while I'm doing some other inside jobs. Hi, Guy. Here you go. Somebody's always present and close by for licking the bowl. Well, growing up for her was different than these guys growing up. And sometimes she reposts things on her Instagram account, and she recently posted something that I thought was really smart and nail on the head. And what she posted was, how can our children grow up to be capable adults coping with their feelings if you shut them in their room and punish them that way instead of helping them to deal with that? So my kids, I have for 16 years told them, take a deep breath. Well, now there's lots of shows like on PBS talking about feelings. And sometimes for them, it can be taking a walk, having a hug, you know, something to distract them from what's currently going on. Hi. So if your day's going rough today, get a hug. Give yourself a hug. Read an inspirational quote. If you're needing something, you know, there's ways to find it without medicating.
This is awesome.
Also, if you've been watching for a while, you know that I was a child in the 80s during the Reagan administration and such. So very, very big campaigns on this is your brain on drugs. I grew up in a small town where it seemed like there were so many kids that didn't have anything to do, and they were stoners. They were burnouts. They started drinking young, and they just needed something to do. So my advice is get a hobby, give your kids hobbies, and keep everybody active in something. That way, that kind of trouble doesn't come up leading from boredom. Think twice about what a doctor wants to hand you or what a neighbor or friend wants to give you, because it's not always what's best for you. Can you get done in your day what needs to be done if you're medicated, sitting on the couch, too weak or too tired or too stoned out of your mind to get up and do? Now, I don't want to say that there's no reason to medicate or whatever, or treat your anxiety, depression and things like that with medications, but you know, to some degree you got to take a step back and look at history. This is my stepdad, and he was my dad. He stepped in when I was roughly 5 to 8 years old, and he died when I was 40 years old. He fought in World War II, and he never smoked. He had an occasional drink, which was like a beer at the local VFW post. And with him being very involved in the VFW post, my mother and I got involved, and you know, we'd help out with fish fries and things like that. So I got to know a lot of the older gentlemen that were there. Now, there was a lot of younger gentlemen there too, from like the Gulf War in the 90s and the Vietnam Wars. And there was a huge difference in the veterans from World War II, Vietnam, and the Gulf War. And the Vietnam soldiers, a lot of them were burnouts and stoners. If you're like me at all and you grew up listening to Willie Nelson, you know, big, huge stoner proponent, Snoop Dogg and all these, and it's cool, it's a persona. It's not cool in a persona in this house. And, you know, it's what can you do to learn? What can you do to earn and achieve some sort of success today? So the activity in my day usually starts with just waking up slowly to a cup of coffee and mellowing out, answering any emails, kind of getting together any orders that came in during the night on Etsy. Today, I had to do some rebuilding on some Surge bucket milkers, so there's a video for that. Of course, dishes, laundry, cooking, you know, I mentioned all this birthday cake stuff. I'm boiling some Surge bucket milker parts here, and of course thrift store finds. So this is a collection of brass and glass items, and I always have to go through and clean them, starting off with like taking off price tag stickers, using anti-sticky stuff. Normally liquid lemon oil works really good for that. So I'm going through and polishing everything, not to excess because you don't want to like see the differences in this. So those are things that I'm working on today. So then, of course, I have to go through and get everything inventoried, written down, saying, you know, like dimensions, measurements, what I paid for it, what I'm going to sell it for, and, of course, photography. So generally, I'll just go through, take several photos with it cleaned up, staged. Like in this case, there's a vase. I have to put flowers in it and show what it looks like. And I find that things look a lot better paired with other items instead of on a white background. Like when I first started selling on Etsy, people like to see it in a space. So the good thing is, in all the things I do, I am working from home and I don't have to go off to a job also. But the rental houses, going and getting supplies, running the farm and things like that do require me to leave quite a bit. Now today we had a parts run and we were back home by lunch. So we just skipped out on breakfast and have been here. It was haircut day. So while the last of the haircuts was getting finished, I started boiling water for dinner. There are ways to squeeze in everything during the day. It's just a matter of sometimes mom has to stay put and I haven't left this kitchen for hours. The main thing in this family is people who live here know that mom is not going to do everything and everybody has jobs. This is our job message board or parts board or anything. If something needs to get taken care of, it gets written down. This says, put winter stuff away. Well, you know, it is June and these things happen. The spring stuff, spring coats came out, but there are still cold days that they needed hats or mittens or scarves. Maybe they needed a heavier coat late in the day or early in the day, so then they had a spring coat and a winter coat. And when you take 7 people and there's 2 or 3 coats each hanging on that wall, it just looks like a mess. So Jack has gone through everything. I've been washing winter coats today, hanging them to dry, and then getting all of the hats and mittens and things washed and put away. And we keep a spare dresser in the basement to store all that stuff off season when it's not being used. So like I said, sometimes you have to skip breakfast. Sometimes we kind of skip dinner and end up having a bowl of cereal or a bowl of oatmeal for dinner as a replacement. You just get it all in however you can. And just know that it doesn't have to all be done today. That brings me to another story from my childhood. Quite often we would have soup and salad, and we didn't have a lot of money for meat all the time. My mom wasn't a farmer or anything like that. We had a huge garden. We had a really huge city lot that was actually 3 city lots. So her and my stepdad had 2 lots that were all just pure garden. But that meant canning and having all that. So in the spring when things are running low, or I had 2 teenage brothers and an older sister, they'd bring friends home too. So breakfast was quite often dinner because it's cheap. It was super cheap back then. Of course, eggs are high right now, and there's been a lot of reasons for, you know, flock devastations. But, you know, you're talking $3 a dozen for eggs. That's what people are paying farmers for fresh eggs anyway. So, like tonight, we're having asparagus, barbecue chicken, and some olive oil and vermicelli noodles. So, you know, a simple dinner that doesn't take long. A lot of it's from our farm, and it was in the pantry, fresh picked, you know, out in the garden, some asparagus, and it's very tasty with just a little bit of butter and pepper, and simple things. So last night, you know, we got home late. We had to run for parts unexpectedly, and we end up making up for it the next day with bigger meals. So, you know, we had to skip breakfast this morning because we used up our breakfast for dinner last night and had to run out. So it was okay, we'll grab some toast and a coffee or a bowl of cereal or whatever, but it doesn't always have to be cooked. And the crock pot helps a ton with that. I use my crock pot several times a week, always. So this is where the kids come in handy and helping. Jack got it started. I happened to find a few more things because he doesn't have the eye that his mom does. We're having focusing trouble. But I went through and found winter boots, and I'll tell you, with 7 people, there is 10, 12 feet of boots here. We got rain boots, work boots, tennis shoes, sandals. So we have a couple of shoe bins, but I'd really like to get these all in like a cabinet bin. And I'm thinking of buying kitchen cabinet type storage to add up here, because that would provide a lot of storage for, like, this is a bin full of work gloves. This is my milk cooler that needs to go to the car so I can buy milk tomorrow. And then my beekeeping equipment always ends up here with a stray car seat that's been removed all the time. So it all doesn't have to be done today. That's just the only way that I can get through that and not have anxiety. The key thing is that you want your day enjoyable. We work for ourselves, and we're not going to push so hard that we're going to kill ourselves. So we're headed out to the shop to see what the guys have been doing since I've been inside all day. So this is a job that he has worked on. This is a motor for the hay bine, and what he's basically informed me of is got these 2 ear tabs, and they didn't make a good mounting of it. We haven't used this in years. It's been parked down the lane, and the sickle bar mowers have been scavenged as much as probably they can be. This needs to be lifted for transport mode, and we weren't able to do that. So he's fixing up that motor with new mounting brackets, and then we'll be able to use this. So I think he's gotten as far on that today as he could with the parts that we got this morning. How come there is no steering wheel?
We had to take it off.
The throttle cable on the other engine kind of just went right through to about here.
Mm-hmm.
It's short. So we took the whole throttle apart and got the cable out, and he found another one out of an old car.
Yeah.
It was an old heater cable control. So we cut the ends off, made it new on the end, and now we've cut the end off. You cut the outer, you cut this with a wire, then you cut this with a hacksaw and snap it, pull that sheathing off, because they're always held in with a clamp. So we've about got his throttle done. He needs the throttle. His shutoff isn't working properly between the tractor and the different brand of engine that was from a John Deere. So now we've got that figured out, because the way these work is you simply give the engine power to the starter, and then the coil, magneto, whatever, makes its own ignition system. It's just running on its own, so you have to have a way to shut it off. So when you turn the key to off, it dumps the spark through this white wire if you allow it to with the key, and it just dumps the spark to ground so that it won't fire the spark plug, and that's how they shut off.
Okay.
Because all the time that this is turning, that little magneto or coil that's in here is making spark. It doesn't come from the battery when it's running, just the starter. So we figured out it's the white wire, and we got to get that figured out. And then the last thing we have to do is this one, the exhaust, where the exhaust was hooked to the head, is actually right where the front of the frame is. Because if this was a zero turn or something, it would have been hanging off the back and it wouldn't have been a problem. So he has a, see this factory little slot right here?
Yeah.
This is where it's supposed to come out. So we have to weld an elbow on the pipe and get it out here and change it for this motor to, but we've run it in the frame.
Okay.
We just had to, we couldn't get it to shut off, so we would pull the spark plug wire. But, so now, we've had it running 3 or 4 times. We had to take the fuel tank back out to get the, we couldn't even see this. So we pulled the fuel tank out and took the dash all apart to do this job. And so this is free.
You're learning lots of parts.
Well, we've done stuff like this before. It's just like a manual shut off on a Dodge Cummins or a choke, or it's all the same. So.
I told Trey when we were driving today, my new motto is earning or learning. And he's learning, and he'll be earning some money for us when he starts mowing. So the last 2 days have been rain days, so we took a drive yesterday. There's this fella that had this engine, and he reposted it and marked it down. So we took a drive to go check it out, and he had it on a whole bench cart for us to hear it run. And it quiet, great, the muffler, everything, super good on it. he had it advertised and had messaged me that it smokes a little when you start it up. Well, he started it up for us, and there was no amount of smoke. It just is a great engine. So we started doing our research against Briggs & Stratton and Kohler, and the cheapest I could find, a Briggs & Stratton, was about $400. And today we were at a farm store, and they actually had it in stock for $3.99. That's a lot of money. So that would put us at about $550 for the whole everything that we've gotten into this so far. Without, these were free on the side of the road. So you'd be looking at $600 to $700 because these were $50 to $70 a piece at the farm store today if we'd had to buy them. So that was a super find for us. So they found a Kohler Command 12.5 horsepower, and this mower says it was a 12 this says it was a 12 horsepower mower. So it's just going up a little bit in size, but it's a tight fit. It's very large.
Physically a lot bigger than the Briggs & Stratton.
So if you don't know this, this is our house garage, and it kind of serves as the main entrance for us. Visitors usually go in through the deck, and it is a catch-all if we have things in our pockets or anything like that. Now, we currently have a tractor moved into this room for some repair jobs. I'll just spin around here and show you. That got brought in this week. My kids have a train table layout over there, so that whole half of the garage is unusable. And we stopped parking the car in here years ago because when it starts up, that carbon monoxide ends up into the furnace filter and everything in the house, and it's just not worth parking a car in here, having it attached the way that it is. The kids have worked hard. This area is cleaned up, and I can only say planning your day out a little bit helps. Like I said, you don't have to get it all done in one day. You're not in competition with anybody else, and I just always am looking to improve. So this ends up being tool storage, and it needs to be an enclosed cabinet. The enclosed cabinet that was here got swapped out for something else. Bethany's desk is here, and she is the most unorganized, loopy artist you will ever meet. And I think all artists kind of have that going on. And she makes so many art projects, it's just not even fitting in her desk anymore. So I've asked her to clean it up. Mom's just going to have to step in and help her. And that's just how it is. So I know in my mind, I'm settling down for dinner. I'm telling myself I have to stop. So we end up in our landing spot, sitting out on the table, enjoying ourselves for a bike ride. We don't eat dinner normally like before 7 o'clock. So after dinner, it's kind of sit and rest and relax. We start watching other people's YouTube videos, maybe a YouTube free movie, something like that. And I just know going to bed, waking up, tomorrow, I got to start working on this area. So that's it for today, everybody. Thanks for watching. What are your goals for tomorrow? Leave a comment down below and let us all know how you get things done and how you deal with the anxiety in your life. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.